In 2026, you have goals. Lose weight, make money, survive the maddening descension into a nightmare hellscape of plutocratic-driven AI warfare and deranged, pointed algorithmic mind control as we march helplessly into authoritarianism. Well, what if I told you there's a one-stop solution, clinically proven by science and data and doctors? Probably. Introducing the 10 Bell Pod Season 5 t-shirt. Its rugged, ergonomic grip allows you to tackle those tough-to-reach places. The revolutionary pre-shrunk cotton design is perfect to soak up those tough spills. You can even use it for surgery. Win bar fights, emotionally distance yourself from loved ones. Eat it during the Great Famine of 2027. The 10 Bell Pod Season 5 t-shirt. Buy one. Or we will turn this podcast into about being an alpha male. We will go full fucking grifter. Is that what you want? Tyler Wood, telling you that you are a coward for not investing your life's worth into meme coins. 4 a.m. cardio, how business is easy after you borrow $10 million from your rich daddy. Tyler Wood saying that. Tyler Wood.
The fact that the top 1% of WWE superstars have 90% of the title runs is morally reprehensible. Does that sound like Bernie Sanders at all?
No, that absolutely doesn't sound like Bernie Sanders. That's actually the worst Bernie Sanders I've ever heard. I was the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% are going up. It's just absolutely unbelievable. You're gonna disgrace a good congressman. A man who gave a speech to an empty Senate floor to speak out against the Iraq war, the only person that listened, and you're going to treat him like this? This is the interaction that you're going to give? I can't believe you're going to give this. This is unbelievable.
For only $27 a month, you can subscribe to HBO Max.
What's that? What are we doing there?
That's my Bernie Sanders. He asks for $27 all the time. Do you not get the texts?
No.
Yeah, that's like his little campaign amounts. $27. It's like for only $27.
Okay, Mr. Politico, let me ask you this. Did you vote for him in the primary elections?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I wrote him in I wrote him in when Biden won. I mean, that one I'm glad I.
Oh, okay.
So
you're the one who was in danger. You're the one in danger of losing democracy. Cool. In that time.
No, right, the one that Biden won. The one that Biden won. So we're all good. I voted for.
But you almost fucked it up. You almost fucked it up. You were one less vote for halfway decency.
You know what? It's on me.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about a predetermined, set up, rigged contest determined by a handful of billionaires, or would you like to talk about pro wrestling now?
Okay, so you're right. Let's not make this a political podcast. We've already lost half our listeners anyways, which I feel like we've done a pretty good job, because I feel like the people that would be upset with that political rant were also pretty upset about everything I've said about Vince McMahon over the last 2 seasons. So I think we've warded them all off. Now that the evil spirits are gone, let's actually talk about wrestling and entertain people who I want to entertain. How about that?
All right. Hello and welcome to 10 Bell Pod. I am Nick, joined by comedian with new indestructible titanium collarbone, Tyler Wood.
They can put me back together. They have the technology.
And we are here with just normal-ass collarbone, but Northeast Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer, the Man Scout Jake Manning.
No, normal collarbone, Jake Manning. That's flat butt Manning, no longer the moniker. Normal collarbone, Jake Manning. That's how I want to be referred to.
All right, so today we are covering someone who may actually have the most impressive roll call of accomplishments we have ever covered.
May? You mean does?
We are talking about a NFL Super Bowl champion, a Four Horsemen, College Football Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer. Mike Ditka said that this was the toughest player he ever coached, Steve Mongo McMichael.
Hell fucking yes. This is the episode that no other podcast is going to give you. Nobody, there's all these wrestling podcasts. Everybody's got a wrestling podcast. There's millions of wrestling podcasts, but none have the balls, the guts to talk about Steve Mongo McMichael and dedicate an entire episode to it. No. They just gave him a little tribute for 5 minutes and said something and move on. No. We are going to spend an hour, 2, if necessary, talking about Steve Mongo McMichael. I will not let wrestling history go by without it being discussed. A man who I regard as one of the best horsemen in the history of horsemen. I stand by that claim, and I'm not being ironic. I'm not being funny. I'm not doing it as a bit. I believe it in my heart, and we are going to discuss it. And I feel like this episode was done and put in this season to appease me, because Nick knows I'm on the verge. I'm on the verge of just completely walking away. And he's like, do you want to talk about Mongo McMichael this season? I go, yes, absolutely. And that's why we're talking about today, to keep me engaged, to keep me interested, and to do what's right and talk about the legend, Steve Mongo McMichael.
It is in Jake's contract.
Yeah. And if I leave this podcast and go to another podcast, I'm going to demand to talk about Mongo again. That's how good he is. That's how good he is.
To all you listeners out there, we did bump Hulk Hogan for Mongo McMichael. We were going to headline
You're damn right
Hulk.
we did. Stand by it. And we're talking about social issues. Anybody who's a fan who's still with us, you would agree. Like, who would you rather talk about, Steve Mongo McMichael or Hulk Hogan? Because guess what? Steve Mongo McMichael high-fived and hugged Richard Dent. Hulk Hogan ain't doing that. Hulk Hogan's like, oh, I don't know about Richard Dent, brother. Is he rich, though? Oh, okay, that's okay. He's cool. Or Mongo, nah, he just come up and just hug him like a brother that he is.
All right, well, let me start out this episode by repenting before all you listeners, before Mongo in the sky and Man Scout Manning on Zoom. You see, I was once blinded by the vices of 5-star matches, by the sins of online message boards. I was once smart, but now I am found. Once blind, now I see. Steve, Mongo was actually kind of fun. He was a fun character. I enjoyed covering him for this.
Hell yeah. The audio listeners can't see. I am nodding my head. Finally. Seen the light.
So we know about Jake's deep love for Mongo. Tyler, did you know who this was before 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, absolutely. I watch Botchamania. I've heard of Steve
Go
Mongo
fuck yourself.
McMichael before.
Get him off this fucking podcast. That's the next thing I'm putting my next contract is to get Tyler off the episode just for saying that.
Listen, Mongo couldn't wrestle for shit, but he is fun. He is fun, I will say, and he could talk.
Yeah.
And he loved to be there, and that is what I look for in a celebrity wrestler. He fucking tried, and he had a good time.
Drew more money than Bad Bunny. I'll tell you that much.
That's true. That's true. Well, I thought we weren't going to get political.
Yeah, that's a hot topic right now.
Drew more than Johnny Knoxville at Mania. I'll tell you that much.
All right. So, Stephen Douglas McMichael was born October 17th, 1957 in Houston, Texas. His parents separated before his second birthday, and his mother later remarried E.V. McMichael, an oil company executive, which is kind of a weird job for a person named Electric Vehicle. Steve obviously took on that last name. His actual birth name is apparently not even publicly reported.
Because Mongo was probably like, fuck him. He left. He's gone. I got a new fucking dad. I guess that leads me to believe that Mongo kind of came from money. So if his dad was an oil executive in Texas,
yeah,
probably doing pretty well. But at the same time, too, to still have the work ethic that Steve Mongo McMichael, like if you've seen any interviews with him or about him, unrivaled work ethic, which I can only imagine was instilled to him because he was born in Texas in the 50s. Like, I feel like they just hand that to you, and then whatever, maybe he grew up like a rich kid, or maybe his dad knew how to be like, hey, like, I got money, but you got to fight for your own shit.
Evie, I think it's obvious to see that he was given the electric stone because he became electrifying. Cool Jolteon joke. I know you two are not going to get that. That's a Pokemon joke. There we go. That's Pokemon, Nick. That's anime.
Thank you. It doesn't feel nice to be on the other side. All right. So the family eventually moved Steve and his 4 siblings over to Freer, Texas, south of San Antonio, where he attended Freer High School. I think it's Freer, like free, and not Freer, like deer.
It's free with an R at the end of it. Just think
Freer.
of free and then just throw an R on it. That's what it is. I'm sure they pronounce it differently in Texas. Old Hollywood over here can't pronounce it. So just, if you're in Texas, send us an audio file, but because Hollywood's not going to be able to pronounce it, nor is old Whitefield, North Carolina, Tyler Wood.
I think Freer makes the most sense that it's in by God, Texas.
Yeah, and the hard R at the end is very Texan. In Steve's senior year, he lettered in 6 sports. just take a fucking nap, dude. Football, basketball, baseball, track, tennis, golf. Baseball was actually his preferred sport. While playing catcher, he batted .450 in his senior year. And if you don't follow baseball, hitting the ball roughly half the time is fucking crazy. Less crazy in high school, but it's still like pretty crazy.
I mean, if you're hitting that well in high school, you're going to probably get looks from scouts. Like that's guaranteed. If you're hitting .450, like that's as a catcher, no less, then yeah, you're for sure getting looks. But I wonder, I mean, like I said, we've mentioned that he might have money in his family, but you're looking at a 5-sport letterman right here in front of you, Nicholas. I don't know if you know that or not. I wouldn't be surprised if Mongo had the same deal with his father that I had with my father, that my father had with his father, which is you can play whatever sport you want. That's completely okay and fun. Like that was always the deal with everyone in my family, in that go out for as many sports as you want. And in Iowa, the sports are back to back. They actually have baseball in the summer, which is weird because school's not in session, but you're still doing a school activity and representing the school, but you're doing it in the summer. That's why I was able to do 4 of them. But then I did 2 years of basketball, 2 years of wrestling, and I varsity in both. So the idea was, my grandfather said that started this whole trend was you can go out for any sport you want, but if you don't go out for a sport, you got to work on the farm with me. And that is why all my dad and all his brothers, they did all 5 of the sports because they went year round to avoid working on the farm. Because grandfather said, you're not just coming home and watching TV. You will immediately go to the farm and you will immediately start working with me. So you either go to practice or you come work for me on the farm doing some sort of farm thing, which they ended up still having to do anyways, but Grandpa was a little bit more lenient, much in the same sense that my dad was the same way. Like, I wasn't allowed to go home and play video games or anything. I was allowed to, but then also instilled in me this weird work ethic where, like, you have to work all the time. So when I relax, I feel like I'm a loser and a failure and I have to do something more. So I just have this constant feeling of I have to be doing something and I have no idea of leisure and relaxing. And it's really fucking me up as a 42-year-old man, especially when you're in a sport that goes year round. There is no end and it completely grinds and it completely destroys you and turns you into dust. To which my father would say, good job, son. Congratulations.
Jake, is it hard to letter in 5 sports when there are only 20 people in your graduating class?
Go fuck yourself. At least I was team captain of most of those. I was team captain in most of those sports. Okay. All right. I was a contributor.
Batting .450 did get Mongo a little bit of attention. Funny enough, from the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds, both the Macho Man's teams.
He'd be behind Johnny Bench, so he never would have played. There's no way he would have got around. Johnny Bench played until like the 80s, so if he was a catcher, he never would have played. And then might have played in St. Louis. I don't know who the catcher was there, but that would have been wild, is Mongo interacting with Pete Rose, considering all the podcasts that are coming out about Pete Rose now that he's dead, and we realize how much a fucking maniac he is. And we all know how much of a maniac Steve Mongo McMichael is. Those two, I think they both like betting, so they had a good old time together.
Okay, so Mongo was 57, Macho Man was 52. They could have maybe been teammates. That's like not that far off. But I think Macho was only in baseball like 3 years, so.
Yeah, but still, if WCW did a charity softball game,
oh man,
those two, oh man, that would have been awesome.
As good as he was at baseball, it was his football accomplishments that led to him getting offered 75 college scholarships, which is fucking crazy. He chose to go to the University of Texas, where he played defensive tackle for the Longhorns. And this is a Jake question. D-line has the D-line produced the most wrestlers, you think? Maybe linebackers probably up there.
Good question. Yeah, I think the D-line, because it's kind of a situation of like hold your ground, shed your blocker, look for the ball. It doesn't take a lot of smarts. Like if you were smart enough to play linebacker and call defensive plays and coverages, you're probably smart enough to realize that pro wrestling isn't good for you. Offensive linemen, it was a lot of. I think there might have been maybe more offensive linemen, maybe because that's a very easy one. Like run and hit the guy in front of you. That's a very pro wrestler thing. Like just go hit that guy. Know where the ball's running. That's all you need to do. That's lazy enough for them to figure out.
I was thinking defensive end because you have to be big enough to play D-line, but agile enough to catch that like outside running back.
Maybe during this era, because the defensive end's kind of like changed. It's now like morphed into pass rusher, and you have to have a little bit more smarts. But at the same time, too, sometimes pass rushers are on the field like, hey, go get the quarterback. That's all you care about. Yeah. Contain and get the quarterback. But yeah, there's a lot of them. And University of Texas, legendary football program. Yeah, sure, he's getting 75. It wasn't bullshit schools. He clearly had the cream of the crop, and if he chose Texas and played on Texas, that's how good he was at football.
And he not only played there, he did pretty good. His senior year, he was a consensus first-team All-American. D1, that's always pretty crazy. And he was the defensive MVP at the 79 Hula Bowl in Hawaii. Add to it, he was All-Southwest Conference choice in 78 and 79 and team MVP in 79.
Yeah, and at the University of Texas and just everything you could possibly say. So absolute 100% stud through and through. Clearly this guy has pro ability and just speaks to how great he was at football.
And since we probably won't circle back to it, he was put in the Longhorn Hall of Honor in 99 and the 2010 College Football Hall of Fame.
Jesus Christ, this is just college.
We haven't got to him being a part of the greatest defense of all time. Like, we haven't even got there. And the greatest faction of all time. So, Tyler, please stop slowing down the episode and let's get to the accomplishments, okay? If we can get you to, can we just mute his mic for this podcast? That would appreciate it. And just, Nick, just list the accomplishments and I go, yep, told you. Awesome. Thank you. Next accolade.
And this is also before, like, science of the game, too. So did they basically just go, fuck, kill him? And he's like, you got it. And then took off.
Yeah, I mean, they had some strategy, but yeah, it wasn't.
But also, too, the rules allowed him to do that. Like the rules allowed him, like, oh, I can go kill him. Cool, I can go do that. I can just blast him? Sure, no problem. Yeah, rules were much different. There's an intro to Monday Night Football from the 80s. If you watch it, it's all penalties. It's just like everything in it is like what would be called as a penalty today. There's not a single play that is legal in the game of football now.
Steve McMichael was drafted in the third round, 73rd overall of the 1980 NFL draft by the New England Patriots, but he was cut before his second season with them after playing just 6 games his rookie year. It seemed like it wasn't a skill thing. It was like a team fit sort of vibe there that he didn't fit in with.
I hate goddamn New England, motherfucker.
Probably. I mean, I could see that.
Like, I could just see him starting fights with people and being like, you see how bad this traffic is? Like, I could just hear him complaining about living in Boston. It'd be like Godzilla trying to, like, move around, trying to figure out the streets, especially a guy from Texas going to Boston. Shit!
Why they talk so weird?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, Chicago has its traffic, but at the same time, too, like, you're living out in the suburbs, which is probably got a bit more room to maneuver. You're only really going into the city for games. And when you're playing for the Chicago Bears, you're basically royalty, so they just roll out the red carpet for you. But nobody's doing that for the New England Patriots at that time. Yeah, I'm sure, like, he had some guy who was a scheme guy or just didn't, like, get him or wanted him to play a certain way. Or the vibe who Steve Mongo McMichael is, just by listening to him talk, there was only one team that he could have played for. and that is the Chicago Bears.
Exactly. The Bears scooped him out of free agency in 81, and he became their starting defensive tackle, helping them win the Super Bowl in 85 with fellow pro wrestling teammate William the Refrigerator Perry. Maybe, at least at the time, maybe the most famous sports team in sports history up to that point. Like some of those old Yankees teams, or maybe even like Packers or something, were pretty famous, but this was like that perfect intersection of sports and cable coming along. They got caught in like SNL sketches, MTV, McDonald's commercials, like the fucking shuffle. Mongo was part of one of the biggest sports teams in like sports history, not even specifically NFL, like sports.
Okay, let's talk a little further here. Let's really narrow down the 85 Bears, because you did an okay job, Nicholas. But let me explain. A kid who grew up in Iowa, a kid who was a mere 3 hours away, door to door, to quite possibly the coolest thing to happen to the NFL maybe ever. It will always be top 10. It's probably still in the top 5 coolest things, whatever. It is when defensive coordinators talk about an opposing team's defense that's having a good year, and they want to be like, listen, guys, this isn't the 85 Bears. When they think of the best defense of all time, or the best, statistically there are better ones, but nobody says the early 2000s Ravens or some of the Pittsburgh Steelers teams or some of the other great defenses that have been through the years. No. It's always, these guys ain't the 85 Bears. Or who do you think you're playing, the 85 Bears? The 85 Bears definitively is regarded as the toughest, the meanest, the best defense of all time. A team that almost went undefeated, but because of a fluke and happenstance, mystery, or just didn't have their head in the game just 1 week, even though that loss probably helped catapult them into having the mindset they need to go on and win a Super Bowl. Just destroyed everybody in their path. The biggest characters. Christina Myers, who I work with at AEW, she knows very little about early pro wrestling, and she knows even less about professional football. But she can recite people's lines from the Super Bowl Shuffle. I brought up Jim McMahon's name one time in a car, just happenstance, and she started reciting the Super Bowl Shuffle rap that Jim McMahon did, like word for word. That's how famous this team was. That somebody who's untouched, didn't care, has never cared about football, knows the lines from the Super Bowl Shuffle. That's how famous these guys are. These guys, I would venture to guess that the Bears fans that exist today are because of the vibe and the aura of the 85 Bears. Like everybody of my generation that still loves the Bears, still roots for the Bears, it is because of that team. Hands down, without question. Probably will always be top 5, one of the best teams in professional football history. I think we have covered the 85 Bears. Tyler, would you like to add anything?
I patently disagree with everything you just said, Jake.
Drop me a pin in your location. Drop me a pin, just for funsies.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to the person that was alive during that. I believe you.
Go fuck yourself again.
We even got a little bleed over from that Bears team into pro wrestling because their Super Bowl Shuffle clearly influenced the Wrestle Rock Rumble rap that is pretty infamous with the AWA and Wrestle Rock 86. Yeah, 86. So let's speed run through the back half of Mongo's career here. Mongo led the Bears with 11 and a half sacks in 88. He had 108 tackles in 89, which I think at the time, like 100 tackles was pretty fucking crazy.
It's still regarded as good, especially for a D-tackle.
He was named to the NFC Pro Bowl team in 86 and 87. And Steve also had a streak of 101 games started until 1990. No days off, back when men were men because men had unchecked CTE. And then this is maybe one of my favorite Mongo tidbits here. He finished up his career with the Green Bay Packers before retiring in 1994. And he has the best quote about it. For 13 years, I helped the Bears beat the Packers every year. I whooped their ass, right? So the last year, I went up there on my last leg. I wasn't good anymore, so I stole their money and whipped their ass again. It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, the Packers and Bears rivalry is the probably the biggest rivalry and the longest running rivalry in the NFL. And for someone like Mongo, who is so definitively Bears to go to the Packers, he had to say something like that to be welcome back in Chicago. Yeah, I just took their money, guys. Sorry. I helped deliver a Super Bowl ring, but I had to go take their money. Sorry.
Football is also where Steve got his Mongo nickname, coming from fellow NFL player Alex Karras, who played the character Mongo in Blazing Saddles, who Steve, I put kind of look like. He looks exactly like him. Like they're fucking twins.
The Jaws, yes.
All right, so now finally we can get to some wrestling. On March 20th, 1995, on an episode of Monday Night Raw, Steve did a guest commentary spot alongside Vince. This was part of the Lawrence Taylor Bam Bam build up to WrestleMania. McMichael was acting as LT's bodyguard, enforcer, sort of flanked by his other NFL guys there. I'll get to them later. During that broadcast, Kama, the Supreme Fighting Machine, which is probably a pretty good fight for real, they got into a big old pull apart, spilled across the arena floor over the broadcast table. They ended up, they did the pull apart, they got broke up. And then that led to Mongo would end up being the team captain for Ken Norton Jr., Chris Spielman, Ricky Jackson, Carl Banks, and the great Reggie White, backing up Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania 11 in 95, where Bam Bam actually lost to LT.
And I guarantee all those guys got their own dressing room, and all the wrestlers were pissed off about it. Yeah. But they didn't say shit about it. Because what are you going to say to Reggie White?
Let me see, Tyler, as a new fan, can you even process the thought of a, not necessarily random, because he's also one of the all-time greats and very famous, but a NFL player coming into WrestleMania main event?
Here would be the best way to put it, and I'm going to throw a name out there that you've probably heard of. Imagine Ray Lewis.
Okay.
Well, Ray Lewis killed a guy. He's pretty legit. He can't say Ray Lewis.
Oh, and you don't think Lawrence Taylor might have murdered somebody at this point? Also fair.
Okay.
I forgot Lawrence Taylor, the fucking
So you're telling
saint.
me we have Aaron Hernandez booked.
No. Aaron Hernandez would probably be on the outside one of the guys on one of the lumberjacks. I'm saying Ray Lewis versus Bronson Reed.
Okay.
Would probably be the best way to put it. And that's your WrestleMania main event. But you also have around the outside Michael Strahan from Good Morning America.
I like that's your reference point for Michael Strahan for Tyler.
I'm just trying to think of other guys in that era, because it's a little bit of a gap for me, because they're Patrick Willis, Luke Kuechly.
Yeah, Luke, there we go.
Chad Ochocinco?
Yeah. No, he'd be a receiver. But guys like that all around the ring.
Okay.
For this match with Ray Lewis.
Honestly, the Bronson Reed part is the thing that's making me not want to watch it. I'm on board for all the football players.
I mean, Bronson Reed would be the equivalent of Bam Bam Bigelow in this situation.
That's true. Give me can I get Jeff Cobb switched out, and then I'm on board?
Oh, Jeff Cobb would look tiny next to Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis is a tall man. And Jeff Cobb is not that tall. Like, Jeff Cobb's maybe shorter than me.
Also, I love that Nick said as a new fan. Dude, I'm coming up on 23, 24 years.
Yeah, you're 20 years in.
Yeah, I started in 2003. You guys are just old as fuck. You two are ancient.
I forget that time has happened.
But also too, we also look back and watch stuff from the 70s and 80s before we got in. You're just it happened before I was born. I don't care. Much like everybody. Much like me and Nick's generation, we watched the Brady Bunch. We watched reruns of I Dream of Jeannie. You're just Friends is on Netflix now. What's this old show?
Well, you guys watch that. You guys watch cable like that because much like how it was easy to letter in 5 Sports when there were 20 people at school, there were only 5 channels back then.
Steve's first step into the wrestling world, WWF, however, I believe because they didn't offer him enough money and that WWF schedule would have overlapped with football, Steve didn't end up working for WWF.
Well, wasn't he a radio host at this time? Bischoff has legendarily said that that's the reason that he reached out to Mongo for the commentary gig on Nitro, because for one, had the appeal of being a part of the 85 Bears, but also two, he was a broadcaster already. So Bischoff's like, okay, he's famous, he's a broadcaster, he seems to like wrestling. I want Nitro to be different. Instead of just getting an old wrestler or a wrestler that people will recognize, I want a common person to recognize Steve Mongo McMichael. He already knows how to talk. Like, as we've learned with this podcast, it's very important to know how to talk into a microphone, as I've sizzled on all my S's throughout this. But it's a very important thing. And also, too, I probably dabbled in a little bit of commentary with football and stuff like that. So he's been around broadcasting and understands it and understands call times and a schedule and production meetings. So, yeah, it was like a no-brainer for Bischoff. But, yeah, Bischoff legendary was like, oh, well, Mongo's doing very well broadcast-wise in the Chicagoland area. Let's get him out here for Mondays. Could he do Mondays for us? It's live, so let's just see what we got.
As a professional wrestling commentator, I really got to say how difficult it can be to just hop right into the top spot like that. And Mongo seemed like he fit in pretty well. Like, the dude could talk.
Yeah,
well, could you do that holding a little dog for 2 hours?
Pepe? I don't know if I could hold Pepe. The whole thing's shaking. It'd be distracting.
That's his emotional support dog, I guess. Like paving the ways for mental health. Steve Mongo McMichael has his emotional support animal while he's on a live broadcast for professional wrestling 2 hours every night on Monday.
I feel like if he had been a wrestling fan, he wouldn't have brought his small dog or wife around pro wrestling. He would have known better at that point.
They're both going to get mauled.
Yeah.
Heard none of the stories about either of them.
All right, so exactly this happens. Mongo inks a deal with WCW, and he makes his debut September 4th, 1995, which was the debut of Monday Nitro, as a babyface commentator. And Steve was a really good foil for the more cynical heel Bobby Heenan, working back guy. And then there was the little lapdog chihuahua, Eric Bischoff. Hey, we're having fun, right? And then Mongo's commentary style, and I do not mean this in a negative way, was kind of like an excited little Mark kid. Like, Hulk Hogan could beat up everyone because he's the strongest. Like, he was always like very excited, very good guy centric.
So you're telling me he walked so Pat McAfee could punt?
Yes.
No, he walked so Don West could walk as well too. Pat McAfee, he just got in because he's famous. Let's just be honest, all right? Like, just wait till we put Theo Von on WWE commentary. It's coming, folks. It's coming. Just you wait. Theo Von is going to be doing WWE commentary, calling it right here. I want this clip brought up as soon as it happens. Called it.
I'll continue to not watch.
Oh, man, that power slam was crazy, brah. That's my Theo Von impression. It's probably as bad as my Bernie Sanders.
No, just keep going. Just keep going in the impersonation hour of Nick Alexander.
I'm so bad at all of them.
I know. That's why I just keep going. Keep going. I mean, we're not turning audiences off by your lack of impression talent. Go. We're already in it. Also, to cycle back in with Mongo, I believe it was about this time, and even before he got in the ring, it was definitely about this time. Like, Nitro's a thing. It's getting good ratings. Everybody's excited. He's got a lot of screen time. He's also like hanging out with the boys a bit more because, he's been in locker rooms before. So hanging around guys in locker rooms and obviously going out and partying and drinking. And coming from who this is coming from goes to show you how bad it was. Ric Flair said that, man, Mongo would just go out and like the boys would just take advantage of him. And like he would buy everybody drinks and food. And I felt so bad for Mongo. If Ric Flair is saying like, man, this guy got taken advantage by the wrestlers and it was bad, the guy who's taken advantage of more fans and people let in the business, people that had money that came in and wanted to be a part of things, if Ric Flair, who's taken advantage of those people more than anyone else, that's how bad the Mongo got taken advantage of. That someone who's the king of that was like, whoa, this is a bit too much.
Rick is going to be a big reason Mongo ends up getting into the ring. In April 96, Ric Flair started hitting on Mongo's wife, Deborah. I'm willing to bet he did it way before this. McMichael challenged Flair and Arn Anderson to a match with his partner, fellow NFL Hall of Famer, Kevin Green, who we, of course, covered 2 seasons ago.
Got my little Kevin Green.
Hey!
Starting lineup, which I had since youth. I have a Kevin Green starting lineup figure that I'm not holding up. Sorry, audio people, you can't see, but through the move, I found a box that had a bunch of these, and Kevin Green was one of the guys I had in there.
Nice, so. Yeah, that's a good one.
Nice little antique collection you have.
To prep Steve for getting into the ring, he was trained by Terry Taylor at the WCW power plant. They did this sort of like shtick on air where Macho Man was training him, but in reality, he just kind of gave him some pointers. There was no real training there.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you just walk up. Make it look real. Right there. Oh, yeah. God damn it, Macho. I'm just putting on my trunks.
How much you want to bet Macho's pointers were just, don't let him look at your wife?
Yeah.
Once again, Macho Man not wrong.
Even a couple years removed, probably beat the hell up from his NFL career, Mongo is still a 1% freak athlete. So teaching him a working punch, how to bump, a couple slams, get out there. And you'd think a freak athlete coming over from another sport, physical stuff would be where he shined, and he'd struggle with the character work, but it's the exact opposite. His offense was limited but effective with the stiff clotheslines, the slams, but his character, 10 for 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10, no notes on the character, best presence in the ring, but as I've said before, and even said to Arn Anderson, to his face on a virtual gimmick table one time, Mongo is not that bad if you don't allow him to hit the ropes. Him running the ropes, like all those clips that you saw on Botchamania, Tyler, involved him running the ropes and doing something while hitting the ropes.
Yeah, yes.
But
true.
there are highlight reels of him just snatching Eddie Guerrero out of the air, which proves to me that Eddie Guerrero knew what to do with Mongo. He knew, don't let him hit the ropes, let him stand in the ring, slam me around, catch me, do this. Don't let him hit the ropes. That's what the problem is. Like, there is a highlight reel of Mongo wrestling Eddie Guerrero, and it's amazing. Like I said, highlight reel, not Botchamania. Now, granted, there might have been a spot in there where he hit the ropes, and Eddie was like, oh, that was a bad idea. But I will attest that if you could work a match with Mongo and don't let him hit the ropes, that would be a great match. Because the man had a good body slam. Working punches are always something you got to work on anyways. Sometimes that's a 5-6 year plan that you got, and you got to work punch everything in your sight for years to get that down. And sometimes that goes away, and if you don't work on it, sometimes it disappears and it's got to come back, and you got to really work on it. That's understandable, but giving a nice clothesline, body slam, power slam, all of those things, suplex, all of those things to stand there and do something, give a good stomp, Mongo was good at. But character-wise, could make you forget about all the stuff he wasn't good at. So, accentuating the positives, he had a lot of them. And anytime that anybody did that for him, he was great, and he was wonderful in the spot he was put in.
Nowhere in that list of moves of the good moves was a shoulder tackle. You would think the football player could nail a shoulder tackle, but damn, the wrestlers were firmly planted, and he just deflected off like a bug on a windshield. Like, oh my God. That's all.
All right, I was making sure Jake didn't scream at you before we moved on.
No, I mean, but it would require him to hit the ropes.
That's true. No. To your
all
point.
All part of my logic.
You completely
all
true.
part of my logic. So, like, I'm not gonna fight. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you that whenever he touched the ropes, shit went bad. I'm not gonna fight you.
Logistically,
I'm just saying.
What's the problem with him hitting a shoulder tackle in that way? Is he trying to protect the other person?
Probably. He doesn't understand because you don't want to, like, in his mind, hands would be involved in a situation like that. Like tackling, you want to do that. You want to hit with the shoulder and then wrap. But just standing there and, putting a shoulder into a guy, like, and also, too, you don't want to drop your shoulder down and then run into the guy's face. Like, all kinds of things. I'm sure he had his issues with it and overthought it too much. where just like, hey, stand straight, give somebody your pack. And then who knows how good of a teacher Terry Taylor was. You know what? Let's get a time machine and let me go back and teach Mongo. Let me go back and let me teach Mongo.
Take Monty Brown. Take Monty Brown with you.
Give me 3 months with Steve Mongo McMichael and Monty Brown. I'll make them both champions. I promise.
So Mongo's first in-ring official match was during 1996's Great American Bash. During the match, Deborah and Kevin Green's wife were chased back to the back by a woman, aka Nancy Benoit, which we can say now. Also Liz, they were Flair's valets at the time. Deborah came back with Woman and Elizabeth, and she had a briefcase full of money and a Four Horsemen t-shirt, a little bit of a bribe, which McMichael accepted, bonked Kevin Green in the head with the briefcase. And if you bounce that off of his squeaky clean good guy, white cowboy hat commentary, it's actually a pretty shocking heel turn.
Yeah, I remember it all happening and the briefcase. It was cool, you know. Like I remember it being, because at this time, like I wasn't getting the WCW pay-per-views. I was watching the clips. You know, the screen. This is what Tyler's generation will never understand. There was a time a pay-per-view would happen, and you didn't have the $40 or $30 to pay for it, and then you had to make sure that you tuned in the next day to see the stills of what happened. The idea that you had to wait, and that first 5 minutes of a wrestling television program after a pay-per-view that you did not buy, it was like you were watching the commentators, their reaction. They're delivering you news like Tom Brokaw. Like it'd be like Tom Brokaw explaining to you the president got shot. That's how important and tuned in at the commentators that open a Monday Night Raw or a WCW Nitro. And I just remember seeing the stills of Mongo taking the briefcase and choosing to be with the Four Horsemen. Now keep in mind, at this moment in time, I was unaware of Jim Crockett Promotions. I had been a WWF guy my whole life, and WCW only came aware of it when we got cable, and maybe the San Francisco toys that would be in KB Toys back in the day. And I thought those were just generic wrestlers, and come to find out, like, oh, Ric Flair's an actual wrestler. I didn't know that. I thought it was just generic wrestler that was a knockoff of WWE. So seeing the stills, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is what happened. Mongo's a part of the Four Horsemen now, and he's got all this money, he's got his jacket, and like he's just in the background. And I loved Arn Anderson at the time. So believe it or not, this era, this is my Horseman. This is my Horseman.
Same, yeah, same.
This is my Horseman. This is what I know the Horseman to be. I heard that, like, I had no idea of the past of the Horseman because they never acknowledged the past of the Horseman, really. They did a few years later, but they never did at this time, or if they did, it kind of went over my head. But Mongo McMichael being a Horseman, I'm sure people are irate. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, he's a tough dude. It makes sense to me. Didn't realize that he was replacing Barry Windham, Tully Richard, or anybody else. Like, to me, this is my Four Horsemen. Flair, Arn, Mongo, and Benoit. And
the Horsemen were presented in such a way that when Mongo joined them, it immediately made Mongo legit because he's a fucking Four Horseman now.
And also, too, like, now that I look back and went through all of it, like, you know, Sting was a Horseman, Sid was a Horseman, and Paul Roma was a Horseman. There were guys that were kind of disappointments. So, like, to throw Mongo in there, you can't be, like, too mad because, you know, Flair is still the guy. Arn is still the best ever. And, you know, at the time, prior to everything happening, Benoit, you're like, okay, well, that's 3 really good guys. And then this dude that's just standing in the back looking tough. Okay, fine. You know, like, I'll accept that. That's, as a package, as a formidable thing. Sure. We, for a long time, High Spots had the t-shirt with all 4 of them. Like, had it for sale. And it really kills me because I could have just grabbed a couple of those shirts and I'd be wearing it today.
It's crazy that that's your Four Horsemen, and then years later, I start watching wrestling, and thanks to WWE's Men in Black style revisionism, the Four Horsemen I knew the most was the original version. The Andersons, Flair, Tully Blanchard, J.J. Dillon. That was my trippy. Four Horsemen.
In early 97, Mongo was working a bit more in the ring. They were doing this kind of will they, won't they Four Horsemen thing with Jarrett and Benoit. And Steve actually did a good bit of tagging with Chris Benoit, which is like a good yin-yang there. Mongo's first kind of personal angle started up with Jeff Jarrett. Rick wanted to bring Double J into the Four Horsemen, which would have made them Five Horsemen. Doesn't even make goddamn sense.
Yeah, but if you have the option, to get Jeff Jarrett, you always get Jeff Jarrett. Let that be known. You know what? Kick Benoit out. Get him out. Get him out. I know at the time, if I suggested it in '96, you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But trust me, I know hindsight, gentlemen. Let's kind of distance ourselves from this Chris guy, and let's go all in on Jeff Jarrett. I'm just saying. I think it's for the best. Trust me. And you know what? Then that means I absolutely love and adore 3 of the Four Horsemen. Like, if that's the case, love Steve Mongo McMichael. Arn is the absolute best. And how could you not love Double J? I wish that was my horseman. Ain't they great? That's all I gotta say. Ain't they great?
It was Benoit and Mongo who really didn't want Double J in the Horsemen, mostly because Deborah took a liking to Double J. The turning point in the McMichael-Jarrett feud was at Super Brawl 7. McMichael wrestled Jarrett, and if Jarrett won, he got to be in the Horsemen. But there's a spot here where Deborah tosses in the briefcase from earlier, maybe for Steve to hit Jeff with, but Jeff got it, hit Steve, he wins, he's in the Horsemen. The next Nitro, Jarrett and Mongo faced Public Enemy, and Mongo ended up turning on him, hitting him with the briefcase. Then there's just this whole like Horseman meeting and Flair trying to play Peacemaker, but the two end up shaking hands and they go on to actually tag team themselves. 97, Steve wrestled 2 football players. He beat Reggie White at Slamboree. Reggie White, one of the greatest football players to ever step on grass, not so much in wrestling. And then he lost to KG at Great American Bash, which part of that was McMichael got slapped by Kevin Green's mom.
I mean, who hasn't at the end of the day? Who hasn't? If I'm not mistaken, Reggie White, prime athletic specimen, but watching that match is just proof how much conditioning you have to be a pro wrestler, because Reggie White looked like he was sucking wind the entire time. Just breathing through his mouth like Rock in that main event in Miami against Cena that one time. If you don't do it on a regular basis and you're not in ring cardio, you are just gassed.
In July 97, Jarrett was kicked out of the Horsemen and Deborah left Steve for Jeff.
I'm sensing a theme here with Jeff Jarrett.
This is his first wife he took.
Shut your mouth.
The only way I'm going to shut my mouth is if he hits me with a guitar.
Love is love. Love is love. And their relationship is already broken up, okay?
No,
and now they are they are a blended family now.
Yes.
And they are a blended family. They are a blended family, and you'll show that blended family some respect. I will not let you talk bad. I will not let you talk bad about that coworker of mine. Others, maybe. Not that one.
You're like, of all the ones that play guitar, that one.
All the ones.
Didn't you say he can't even play?
Yeah, he definitely can't play.
God damn it, that's so frustrating.
Yeah, he definitely can't play. He definitely can't play.
Just fucking learn a G chord, dude.
He definitely can't play.
He didn't sing in the
I
fucking Be My Baby
you.
Tonight. He can't play guitar. Does he even fucking wrestle his own matches? Is he CGI?
Dude, have Taylor Swift teach him some lessons. Jesus Christ, they're good friends.
He might be at the wedding. I wouldn't be surprised.
Mongo got a little payback on Jeff and took his WCW US title on the August 21st episode of Clash of the Champions. Oh, God, let me do this. 35. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 35.
Can't think of anybody better to have gold around his waist in 1996.
A bit before that, though, Arn did the whole retirement angle. He was replaced by Kurt Hennig. And this leads to a whole fucking thing. At Fall Brawl, Hennig turned on the Horsemen when he joined the NWO during War Games. NWO was taking on the Horsemen. Steve got handcuffed to the steel cage surrounding the ring. So did Chris. NWO just beat the shit out of Flair 5-on-1. The match ended when Steve surrendered to stop the NWO from killing Ric Flair. This is the spot where they had Rick's head poking out of the cage, and they were going to slam it with the steel door if they didn't give up. They gave up and then still slammed his head in the door anyway. That's good hill shit.
And Flair gets up, gigs himself, and then falls down after getting hit in the head with the steel door. What a vicious attack on Ric Flair!
Next night on Nitro, Steve dropped his U.S. title to Kurt Hennig, and Flair broke up the Four Horsemen.
No, Ric Flair sold off the naming rights of the Four Horsemen because he needed some money. So let's be clear on what happened. You may not have been really paying attention, but that's what he did. He sold the naming rights of the Four Horsemen. That's why they called them the Aquasher Four Horsemen for the time being. But he had to relinquish the entire ownership of them to his lawyer in Matthews, and they had to live there with the NWA World title and various other pieces of memorabilia to avoid his wife Beth from taking that in the divorce.
How many wives ago was that?
How many are there now? Are there 8?
Oh God, Beth was 2.
That was only a second one.
Beth was 2.
Damn.
That's why when people ask me which one of Ric Flair's ex-wives is the best, I say Beth, because she put up with the most shit and produced the best kids, bar none. There was Jackie. There was another lady.
That's also how he knew her.
I guarantee that's how he goes, there's another lady?
There's another one.
Yeah, I think there was another one in there, but Jackie was the one that he had all the court issues with.
Now a solo act, McMichael went after Debra's stable of wrestlers, which included Double J, also Eddie Guerrero, and Alex Wright. Debra eventually hired Goldberg to face Steve McMichael. She even paid Goldberg to steal Steve McMichael's Super Bowl ring, giving him yet another championship he did not deserve. Mongo hopped into a feud, teaming up with Benoit as they took on Raven's Flock in 98. And then he got into a feud with the British Bulldog, and this led to a match at Super Brawl 8 where Mongo actually broke his hand and still finished the match, even using the ending to tap from an armbar, using that goddamn ring psychology. That shows Mongo's toughness. Broke his hand, finished the match. That's some defensive lineman shit.
Yeah, one could have missed a day of work. And I think this was like a weird, Tyler's probably seen it on Botchamania, like a weird promo in the back. And we might have talked about it in Bulldog's episode.
Yeah, so good.
Mongo like tossed the coffee.
Yeah.
Like, backstage pull-aparts.
Oh, he says, Davey boy.
Davey boy, that's what it is. Davey boy.
Don't stand there drinking coffee while a man's talking to you, boy, or something like that.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, there it is.
Dude, if they kept him out of the ring, he's an amazing personality, hell of a bodyguard.
Only taking us an hour and change for Tyler to finally come around like, oh, you only knew from Botchamania to now. So I'm like, you know what? As a presence, he's pretty good. See, Mr. I only know him from Botchamania, and he never had a 5-star match. Yeah. So all of a sudden, Tyler's like, yeah, he wasn't that bad. He was a physical presence that I appreciate.
I want more Mongo, see? More Mongo, see?
Yeah, Mongo, see?
So letting his hand heal up, Steve went through some personal shit. This is where he divorces Debra, who went on to the WWF. And by all accounts, this was like a very brutal divorce for Steve. He did not get through it good, which actually sort of lingered into his work. I think he was very spotty with dates. Not that he was no-showing, that just he didn't.
I heard he did no-show. If I'm not mistaken, I think they were saying that he just wouldn't show up to work, or he was MIA for a while, or they were trying to book on these dates and he just wouldn't even pick up. Like, I think it really kind of rattled his cage. It's tough that your football career ends, and as they say, when you retire or something like that, it's like a death, and you got to mourn that and get through that. And he found broadcasting. Then pretty quickly he's involved in this new thing that kind of fulfills that hole in him, of being around in a locker room with guys and traveling and like celebrity and all that stuff. Probably filled that back up again. But then I'm sure there was some career stuff involved with his wife that led him to go, oh, probably wasn't a good thing to get in this, because I kind of lost my marriage over it, or made my marriage complicated or rough or difficult than it needed to be. And this thing's kind of coming to an end, and I don't have anybody to go home to.
Yeah.
Or football, he had Deborah to go back to, and he had his broadcasting thing, and he could kind of just figure out what his life is, where kind of wrestling brought back up everything that he'd already kind of mourned. And now this wrestling thing's coming to an end. You're not going home to anybody now. Probably was pretty rough on him. Probably pretty tough on him, because he's like, what do I do now?
Did they get into what kind of split them up?
I don't think it's ever been said, and when we sat down with Deborah, I don't think she's ever said as well either. Like, I think it just kind of she was along for the ride, and now she has a career on television because she was excelling at WCW. He was not excelling and getting further away from it. So I'm guessing there's that going on. That's why wrestlers dating it's weird because you're never you're only at the same spot for a short period of time. There's going to come a time where somebody's up and somebody's down, and then sometimes that reverse, and sometimes you get further apart, and so you're in a different space, and the person you're looking at is not at the same level as you. And if you're really buying into the bullshit of celebrity and who you are, you're like, why am I with this loser when all the winners over here want to be with me? And that's male or female. Have that thought. And if you don't have a strong marriage and a strong understanding of, I love this person, like a Chris Candido and another, like a Molly Holly, if those two were together, they could have made it, but I can't think of too many other people that could have made it, like you need two dedicated types of people to come together, and you don't see that a lot in wrestling.
I didn't know until researching for this episode that Stone Cold's Deborah was Steve Mongo McMichael's ex-wife. Oh, I didn't know any of that.
Oh, get fucked. I've now turned into the meme of Ben Affleck with a cigarette outside. I can't. Yeah. I can't believe you didn't know that. Get fucked. Like, we lived it. We lived it, Nicholas. We lived it. We saw it happen.
Mongo had a little bit of a comeback here, but not very long. So he breaks his hand February 98. That heals. He goes through the divorce and depression of said divorce. He would be back October 98, where he actually reformed the Horsemen with Dean, Arn, Benoit, Rick. They feuded with the NWO. So just a couple months feuding with the NWO until Steve made his final TV appearance February 8th, 99 on an episode of Nitro. And in Steve Mongo McMichael's absence, WCW would dissolve in the ring, out of the ring, as WWF took over a Mongo-less, leaderless federation and burned them to the ground without Mongo standing in the way.
It didn't have a legitimate tough guy on television screen, and nobody bought WCW as a serious company anymore.
And Vince Russo.
I'd love to see Vince Russo hand Mongo a script. Mongo beats the shit out of him. Vince Russo's like, I want nothing to do with it. They just buy out his contract. They get somebody else in there, and WCW survives.
The world is less good for not having a Steve McMichael, Vince Russo interaction.
Yes. There's our final thoughts. The world is less good now that we don't have Steve Mongo McMichael in spaces in this world.
Steve went right back into broadcasting for ESPN 1000. That's an AM radio station, not a joke about how many ESPNs there are. He was a prominent voice in the Bears pregame show. And then Tony Schiavone said that Steve won an Emmy. What I found is that that station won an Emmy. He was there, but Steve wasn't it wasn't given to Steve. It was given to the station, if that makes sense.
I'm a conference winning track athlete. Our team won conference track championship 2 years in a row. And the first year that we did it, if I didn't score the points that I did, we wouldn't have won. So much in the same sense, Steve's ratings were probably pretty high. They wouldn't have won an Emmy if Steve wasn't contributing.
So another fun Mongo story. In 2001, Steve was kicked out of Wrigley Field, where the Chicago Cubs play. He was leading Take Me Out to the Ball Game, 7th inning stretch sing-along, for cutting a quick promo on Angel Hernandez, who missed a call, which got him evicted from the fucking stadium.
Oh, people have hated Angel Hernandez that long?
Yeah. And when Angel Hernandez was didn't he retire or kicked out of the game or something? He's no longer an umpire anymore. They played this clip got life again, and people are Mongo was always right.
So Mongo served as a football coach for the Chicago Slaughter. That's an indoor football team. He worked from 07 to 13, and they actually won the championship in 09. So that's pretty cool. Mongo also had a little blip on the radar, returning to pro wrestling for TNA, where at '08's Bound for Glory, he reffed a Monsters Ball match, and apparently he had a very weird, slow cadence, and that got like a bunch of, I would assume a blog post from Meltzer or something. I don't know. All right, and then they slowly start going downhill for old Steve. On April 23rd, 2021, he announced that he had ALS, which is brutal for any person, but for a pro athlete, that it's got to be double. He got a ALS Courage Award from the Les Turner ALS Foundation in September 21, but unfortunately with ALS, it doesn't get better. There's currently no cure, and once you're diagnosed, you're really looking at 5-year ceiling. And sadly, that is how things would go for Steve, in and out of the hospital for the next couple of years. But before the worst, we got a bright spot. When August 2023, he was named as a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2024. He had received previous nominations in 14 and 15, but he finally got there in 24 when he was selected to be inducted.
And that was always like a big thing too, is Mongo going to get in the Hall? Because he's one of those guys that's kind of a bubble guy. Like, yeah, I see him being in there. Well, maybe not. Like, there's all of these arguments. Would he or wouldn't he? But like, he could have been a guy that would have been like maybe inducted a few years later, or there was always a thing, well, maybe someday he would or could. But then with this diagnosis, you're like, ooh, man, like, yeah, is he going to get in while he's still alive? And I remember thinking too, I was like, man, it's going to be real shitty if they put him in after he's passed. He was not getting better. It was getting worse. It was getting bad. And the announcement was coming up, and I didn't particularly like I pay attention most years, but like this year I was emotionally invested in this induction because I was like, man, I really hope. I'm very big about tell people how you feel about them while they're alive. I don't attend funerals unless it's to comfort the living. That's the only time I ever go to a funeral. Like I don't really, for one, I'm terrible at them because my thing that when I'm uncomfortable is I tell jokes, and that's not what people want to hear. Like, I was the funniest person at my grandmother's funeral, so I've come to the conclusion that nobody wants that. Nobody wants me around at a funeral, so it's just best that I take myself out of the equation and deal with it myself, because I'm just going to ruin everybody else's time or make people feel awkward. So it's just best that I'm not at a funeral. That's another reason why I am very big about telling people how I feel about them while they're alive. Let them know how I feel about them. Like, my parents know how I feel about them. Everybody who I've lost, I feel like for the most part, knows how I feel about them, and they told me how they felt about me. There's only like a few people that are just kind of hanging out there, but it was like, I hope he gets inducted, and he did. He got announced, and then there was this thing: is he going to make it to the ceremony? And by the grace of God, he got there. He got to hear them give the speech about him, see the video. He got to wear that gold jacket, and unfortunately, not long after that, this world lost a legend.
Then the worst came on April 23rd, 2025. He was transferred to hospice care in Joliet, Illinois. Steve died the same day he got to hospice of complications from ALS. He was only 67. That takes us to final thoughts on Steve Mongo McMichael.
I had a lot of fun learning more about Mongo through this, and I have more of an appreciation for him. I didn't know how good he was on the mic, and it was fun to go back through and watch some of those promos, hear him with Bobby Heenan on commentary, and slap the coffee out of Davey Boy's hand. He was a really fun presence, and Jake, you've been singing his praises for years now on here, and I gotta say I didn't really appreciate it, but now we've gone back through, and while the wrestling wasn't the best, I have more of an appreciation for Mongo as the total package that he was, Lex Luger notwithstanding.
Yeah, I've traditionally been a little bit of a Mongo hater, like in my Flippy Shed and my 5-star 20 kick-out main events and yada yada. But if you look through Mongo through the correct lens, He is a fun, silly character, massive part of the best times WCW ever had. He seemed also to love and respect pro wrestling, which I think is more than you can say for some fucking pro wrestlers. He was never Shawn Michaels in the ring, but he showed up every night. He would do comedy. He would be intimidating. He was part of the goddamn Horsemen. And when you get away from wrestling, you really see how like cherished he was by the football community, which there's never a doubt about Mongo in football. He is he's not like a typical NFL player that played a couple years and then jumped to WWE when they didn't get the next contract. He is like literally an all-time great, part of a Super Bowl that helped change sports. And it was like that sort of work ethic and dedication that allowed him to make it to and last at the highest levels of pro wrestling for as long as he did. He transitioned into an elite radio personality, and Steve had a pretty good life in general. So I have been converted onto Team Mongo McMichael.
And I will continue converting people. I will continue. That is my promise, my solemn oath to Steve Mongo McMichael, that I will continue converting people. I will keep singing his praises. And no, this isn't a bit. I truly think he's awesome. Like, as I've become an older man, and as I've said in the preamble of our Patreon episode at the start of the season, I'm interested in interesting people. Like, people that are just regular people. Like, I'm so sick of dealing with famous people. It's so empty. It means nothing. But like, Mongo was famous, but I wouldn't consider him a famous person because he didn't act that way. He was real. He loved professional wrestling, and I think the thing that he probably loved the most about it was the fact that he gets to share a locker room with guys. Like, that's a lot of things that the guy, like every retired football player, they said they like, I miss the locker room, I miss the guys. I don't miss the meetings, I don't miss the practices, but I miss the guys and being around. Mongo got a few more years of that, and that's what he loved about it. And in an essence, sometimes that's the important thing in wrestling. Like, I just had a weekend where I had a wrestling match that wasn't particularly great, but I got to hang out with a friend of mine who I don't see very often, who used to see all the time at all the shows, but now we don't get to see each other that much. We get to hang out. We ate after the show and talked, and he told me about what's going on in his life and what's going on in my life. And the show itself and the wrestling match we had together was so-so, but the time that we spent together was amazing. And anybody that spent any time with Steve Mongo McMichael, they'll describe it as amazing as well too. Look at all the people that visited him towards the end of his life. Like, they made sure that they got to see him when he was at his worst, to let him know, like, hey man, I'm still here for you. You're still my friend. You're still my buddy. You know, and pro football players to face mortality is a very tough thing to do unless it's somebody who has as big of a heart as Steve Mongo McMichael's that you're just so compelled to be there. And football players can sing his praises. Pro wrestlers need to sing his praises a lot more. And if I'm one of those people that do it, and hopefully you, the wrestling fan out there, can appreciate two or three things that he did in his wrestling career. I get that he doesn't have the library of a Terry Funk or Bryan Danielson, but man, there's some really bright spots in that wrestling career that you really should go back and look at that bring me a lot of joy and are a lot of fun to look at. Thank you for entertaining me, Mongo, and hopefully through the ability of social media and YouTube and everything else, you get to continue to entertain people through your wrestling. The ability of social media and YouTube and everything else, you get to continue to entertain people through your wrestling. And Godspeed to you.
All right, that is Steve Mongo McMichael, his 10 Bell Pod. For us, all the usual stuff. We're on Patreon. We're on social media. We're on social media as each individual person. Anything before we get out of here?
Thank you guys for listening. Please rate us 5 stars only, and let us know what you would like to see on our Patreon exclusive episodes. You want to see dumb stuff? You want to see more of Nick's Tylenol-induced fascination with wrestling research? Let us know.
Follow me on social media if you're not a dick, but most importantly, get on our Patreon. Follow this page and be interested in what Tyler and Nick are doing. So.
Oh shit! And we have a pro wrestling tee store. I always forget about that. Buy a fucking t-shirt for the love of God.